Good evening, it's Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock, and we're trying something new this time. Well, first of all, we're sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. This is our first time recording a show on location. We happen to be at Red Leaf Exotics with Dominic Gravine. And Dominic, thanks for allowing us to come out and shoot the show here. Dominic and I have known each other for years. We've swapped plants back and forth and traded back and forth, and I am just flabbergasted by the operation that they have here. Dominic, tell us a little bit about how you got into this, the carnivorous plants, and what brought you to Middle Tennessee.
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. So I've grown plants my entire life. From a little kid, my mom would give me her extra garden starts, and I would build my own garden. And then, exploring into terrariums and indoor plants, I started growing Venus flytraps, and then I found nepenthes, which are what I specialize in. And once I went home and Googled...
Now what's a common name for nepenthes?
So they're tropical pitcher plants.
Tropical pitcher plants.
A lot of people know them by tropical pitcher plants.
Okay.
So once I went home and Googled the plant I had and I saw how many varieties there were, I was instantly hooked. So I started collecting them, killed quite a few when I was little, like we all do. And then they've always been a staple plant for me to grow as a hobbyist. There was nothing I liked more. So after growing them, all through my 20s, once I reached 30, I had the opportunity to make it a business in Bushwick, Brooklyn, and it blew up in New York. And then after that, I just sold a lot of nepenthes. I kept making more. We moved here to Tennessee.
Now, what did you do before you went into this full time?
So I was a full-time fashion portrait photographer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I worked every single day shooting either fashion spreads or portraits. Sometimes I would do other kind of photography work. But when I had a summer vacation one year, I had some time off. I went to Australia to see the world's greatest nursery that specializes in these exotica plants. Mm-hmm. And after I visited their nursery, I'm like, what am I doing? I need to do this too. This is the life I want.
Right.
It made me realize photography was pulling me away from my plants. They were always suffering when I had to go away. Nobody knew how to take care of them. So I came back with inspiration, and within 2 months, I ended up buying or renting an apartment in Brooklyn. In my head, I didn't want to live in Brooklyn because I thought I wasn't succeeding or making it if I wasn't in Manhattan. So once I went there, got inspiration, moved to Brooklyn after 3 years of living in the city, and I built a greenhouse in this really run-down backyard. And the plants grew better than I've ever grown them. I was able to propagate them really easily, start doing my first breeding, and then people in the community that I was already friends with because I've done it since I was a kid, other hobbyists, they became my customers. So it's kind of like I was marketing my whole life. And within 2 years, it was so successful that we had to find somewhere else to live. And Tennessee was in the middle, it was really cheap, and just a bunch of other factors just led us to here.
Well, what brought you to Warren County specifically? Of all places in the world.
It was very random. We were like, Tennessee's in the middle, because I'm from up north, way too cold, short daylight, photo period, way too short in the winter. South, I lived in Florida and Hawaii. It's too hot.
Yep.
Here we get the cool season for the plants, and then we have the changes in season, which induces them to flower a lot more, which is great for me. And the house that popped up last minute, and the price, and it was right before COVID, so everything was way more affordable.
Were you working through a realtor, or was it you just happened to see it online?
We went through a realtor. We found it online, but then found a realtor, but it just came up. There was 2 properties we saw, and we were actually going to buy a property that was like 2 acres, just way different than this. This is 15.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do on 2 acres? Like, I'm going to fill that in no time. That's a plant person's mind. And this popped up right as we were having to decide, because I did have friends and a business partner at one point that together we were moving, so they were influencing the decision. So we got this, and here we are 8 years later.
So it's been 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flies by.
Yeah. it does. And so, how old were you when this became a full-time business for you?
So I opened my nursery in 2016-ish. I was around 30 years old.
Okay.
It was always a goal. I'm like, when I hit 30, I got to be successful, whatever that means to me. And I opened my business when I was 30 years old.
Well, now, when we first met and I first started coming out to visit and look at your plants, you're in a much smaller greenhouse. Now, this one right here, I've watched it go up over the last 2 or 3 years. This is probably 4 times the size or more of the original house that you had.
Yeah. Just larger, more organized, and dedicated spaces. I really wanted a shipping area, so we got a shipping area. Wanted my plants to just be my plants in one tunnel. That's what we have here. And then we have another greenhouse there that we'll move into, but still got to build some of that. I've been dragging my feet, but this one has carried me for the last 2 years. Building is no joke.
Well, it is absolutely gorgeous. Do you even know how many different varieties of plants you have in this greenhouse?
I don't. Varieties, I would definitely say over 100 different varieties of genuses. As far as Nepenthes go, oh my God, hundreds to maybe thousands, including my seedlings.
Yeah.
A lot.
Now, you've done quite a bit of hybridization and come up with your own seedlings. Has there been anything that would just kind of knock your socks off better than anything you've ever seen before?
So
I asked that because I've hybridized daylilies. Came up with a lot of beautiful daylilies, but every one of them looked like another daylily. There wasn't anything that seemed totally unique.
So, as far as my breeding goes, it's hard to beat Exotica. My friends in Australia, I mean, they've made so many different hybrids and created new traits we've never seen. So it's kind of hard to, hit that bar. But a lot of the stuff I breed, in comparison to other nurseries that have been, is really exceptional. They might look the same, but they're still like, oh my God, that's amazing looking. I would say, as far as species go, which is its own special area within the market, behind me, Nepenthes veitchii, the ones it's my favorite species. I breed really nice, I do line breeding, so I breed really nice forms of them that are better than anything that ever has existed. And a lot of my customers do come to me just for the plants behind me, the veitchii specifically. So I did make some really good pure species. Hybrids, amazing too. Did I make anything that's otherworldly and nobody has? A little bit, but no new genetics or anything as far as traits we haven't seen, but I am getting closer. Okay.
It's just unbelievably gorgeous in here. And even though it's 80, almost probably 90 in the room right next to us, it's very cool and very comfortable here.
Highland conditions. Most all plants really, even really lowland hot growing plants, they kind of if you could keep the greenhouse cooler, especially at night if you get that drop. The plants really respond well to that, and thankfully here in Tennessee, at least our part, I don't think we're that humid, and this works amazing for evaporating the air to cool it down.
Now, explain your evaporation system for cooling.
Sure. So an evaporative cooling system, the basic kind for a greenhouse, the pad and vent. Up front, the pads are made of a resin material. It almost looks like cardboard. I think maybe even cocoa material. And a pump will put water through a pipe across the top of the unit, and it trickles down through those pads. And they're set up in the inside so that it goes through, almost every square inch of the pad, so they become fully soaked. And then fans at the back of the greenhouse will pull the hot air from outside through the pads, and just the velocity of the air and the temperature, it evaporates the water, and it can drop the temperature in here. 20 degrees, depending on how dry it is outside. The drier outside, the better. But even when it's humid here, it works amazing.
I lived in Utah for several years back in the 70s, and a lot of people, instead of air conditioning, they had what they called a swamp cooler. Same thing.
And very efficient with electricity.
Yes.
You just have a pump and a fan, and easy breezy. I couldn't do what I do as well if I did not have an evaporative cooling wall. It's life-changing.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to take a commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll walk around the greenhouse and look at some of the plants. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock. We'll be back.
See you guys soon.
Welcome back to Hey Hitchcock. This is Tim Hitchcock. We're sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here with Dominic at Red Leaf Exotics. Keep wanting to say red fern. These are not ferns. Red Leaf Exotics. We talked about how Dominic got into this business. If you've got time, can we walk around and you can tell us about some of your favorite plants?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So this is my favorite hybrid right here. It's called Lowii crossed with truncata. It's a primary hybrid between two really beautiful species. But this is my favorite hybrid of all of them. I just like the size of it, and it gets bigger than this even. I'm getting there, but to live up to my friend's standards in Australia, I know where I have to, how big they have to get. This one's pretty large, and this one, it's very common for it to eat mice, and I don't feed it mice. They find their way there.
Right.
And if we could get into how they do that, let's see if I could get under here. You could see under the lid here. See all that sugar? It's glistening.
Yes.
The mouse or an insect will try to get that, and when it does, it actually intoxicates it. And this lip, or it's called the peristome, is designed to angle things inside. So once they fall off that and get on this,
get in there,
they're done for.
Done.
The inside is waxy. There's no way for an insect to get a foothold, or a mouse. It's like a slip and slide.
And it's jagged on the edge. There's an overlap, so even if it could get up there, it can't come around.
Yeah, they're designed just
That's the first time I've ever noticed that. So they start out, a leaf starts out like we have up here.
Yeah.
And then a runner comes out.
The tendril here.
And the tendril.
And then the pitcher on the end will inflate and become this large over the course of a couple of months.
So in a couple of months, this one will be as big as this one.
Yeah, maybe even bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really big, and we're in spring, so usually up through July, they'll keep getting bigger and bigger, and then kind of steady out in the summer.
Now, if I remember right, you do not fertilize these plants.
I do fertilize them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
I thought that the insects and rodents, whatever, went in.
A lot of people are afraid to fertilize them, and I think it's mostly because all the online information over the years, it's like the biggest no-no to fertilize carnivorous plants, but it's so not true.
Okay.
It's what you use, how you use it, how often, conditions. But when fertilized well, a Nepenthes is just not going to look this good if you don't fertilize it. If you want them spectacular, little bugs are okay, but they want more.
So in the highland jungle, they're not going to look this good.
They can.
But
they're hundreds of years old.
Okay.
And just the age alone gives them size. And there is a lot of nutrients and stuff from the sea blowing through the air.
Yeah.
They do get a lot in the wild. And you will sometimes find mice in them in the wild too.
Now when you say hundreds of years old, the plant and the root system is 100 years. That right there is not going to last 100 years, is it?
No. So the pitchers, the longest I've had them last were a little over a year, which is a really long time, especially since they keep getting them. Usually over a year. Commonly, I'd say, I don't know, a few months. It really depends. If the conditions aren't good, they don't last as long. Steady, consistent conditions, good humidity, they last really, really long time. Even in the fall when the light shifts, they'll start to lose them and get more. They don't like a shift in the environment, but they can last when they're happy over a year.
Now, we noticed when we were walking through earlier, one over here that's kind of turning dark on the bottom. Is that eventually going to die out there?
This one is eventually going to die.
Okay.
And this one, I think, has a mouse in it.
Let's get the sugar on that one.
Look at the sugar on there.
Look at that.
A lot.
I'm having a hard time not crawling up there.
It's funny. I have people taste it when they come in here, and some people are like, I don't want to eat that. So they're like, sure, okay.
Yeah.
I usually only allow it, though, when they're really fresh. This has been on here a long time.
Right.
So we don't want moldy sugar. I could show you a species that they breed with these two, and my favorite hybrid, why this sugar is made. That's usually a really cool thing to look at.
Okay, whatever you
want
to do. Okay.
Back to the story when I was originally getting into Nepenthes and I Googled them.
Oh, gee.
This plant right here, let me see if I could get it for the camera. It's called Lowii. You can see it's shaped like an hourglass almost. But this is the species that's in my favorite plant. You could see that kind of elongated mouth on it.
Right.
And the sugar underneath the lid is made by the plant to feed a mammal called a shrew. In the wild, this has a symbiotic relationship with the shrew, and it really does. I've seen these twice in the wild, and there is a lot of shrew droppings inside there. So the shrew will come and eat the sugar, and it's a laxative. It will cause it to defecate, and it poops in the pitcher, and it uses the nitrogen for its fertilizer. And I mean, they all have droppings from a shrew. You see them running across the pitchers, and they're so tough and woody that they're designed for that kind of nitrogen load, and almost like a fresh manure, how it could burn.
Yeah.
They're tough and woody, so that doesn't happen to them, and they literally, that's how they get their nitrogen.
The blooms that we're seeing, okay, these, how do they pollinate? Do you need insects to pollinate?
The flowers on here, they're from a different genus. It's hiding down in their heliumphora from Venezuela. So a Nepenthes flower, I could show you a Nepenthes flower. We got a lot of Nepenthes flowers. So I already pollinated this one, but you can still see the idea. So this is a female.
Okay.
And it looks very similar to the male, but the difference is the female on the end here, they're brown because I pollinated them, but they get a green stigma, and it is sticky. The pollen looks like golden powder almost. So you would get the powder. I pick the flower and I dot it on there. That's how I'll pollinate them.
Right.
Here's pollen. So they're they're either male or female, but you could see the golden pollen on them. So I would get that flower and just dab the female, and in a few months' time, we get seeds. This is what the seed pods will look like.
Okay.
And each pod could have, 60 plus seeds. There's hundreds here once you collect them all. I like individual traits, genetics, varieties, so I'll grow all my seed out. Some people don't have the room to do that, or the patience. But
and you may run out of that room until you let you finish that one.
I gotta hustle. But it's so worth it to me, and especially when selling to my customers, and what I've always liked as a collector is, even if I got the runt of the litter or not the best genetics from the cross, I like the whole process of the risk of that. You might end up with the craziest plant ever.
You never know what that seed is going to be.
And I love that about it. It's surprising, and even if it's disappointing, it's like, well, let me buy another one and try again. Like, it just keeps it fun to me, and I just like that it offers my customers, like, you're never going to get the same plant unless I tell you, oh, it's a cutting from that specific one. Send me pictures when it grows up, and some of my customers send me photos, and I'm just like, oh my god, like,
I wish I kept that one.
Exactly. I'm like, I wish I kept that. But my customers have been so great. They know how much I love them, and I've had customers that this plant right here, so these I specialize in, and I picked this one for he's a customer, but actually a really good friend too, when he came to visit, and I'm like, they always make me pick them. They're like, you pick it too. You have the good eyes. So I'll pick it for them. And this ended up being the best individual from all the seeds that came from this one I bred. And, a couple of years after, my friend's like, I'll send you a cutting. So they come back to me. My favorite ones come back. I always tell them, if you get the best one, send me a cutting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this one.
It's and people don't realize it, but when I was hybridizing daylilies, you can have the same two parents have two different seeds from the same seed pod, and they can be different. I used to tell people, it's like, my wife and I, we have 5 children. We're the same. They're all raised in the same house, but they are as different as they can be.
Right? I love that about it. Just surprise and excitement and unknown, which is so great. And I love seeing... So obviously when we're breeding, we love the trait on that plant, we love that trait, and we want to make something both that looks similar, maybe even better. And that's what I love doing. You could clearly see what that looks like, and then that one, and then mixing them and seeing the variety across. Some will look like the mom, some will look like the dad, everywhere in between, and then sometimes you get like, oh my god, where'd that come from?
Now, this one right here has a lot more green striping in it. Are these from the same plant? They're just different stages of maturity, that coloring?
Yes, so that's another thing I love about Nepenthes. Unlike, most of your flowers that just, sometimes you only have flowers in the spring or in the fall, depending on the plant. Nepenthes, they're pitchers, which are modified leaves. They just keep changing, and this is one plant, but this one was smaller and older, so it will lose the color from just being in the sun a long time, kind of wash out.
Right.
But the lip will bronze. This one's in between. This is the newest one. They open really red and pink, hold that for a while, and this plant's still not mature. It's still coming into its maturity. It will get bigger than this, but it's so fun to watch that, just from a baby to a big plant, and then on the same plant going from, we call it a base growth, to vining up, because most Nepenthes are vines. The vine pitchers are way different than the bottom pitchers, and I could show you examples of that too. Okay. You would not think it's the same plant.
Now, Dominic, your customers, are any of them as obsessed with this as you? Or, what will they just have, like 2 or 3 plants, or they have a whole room full? Or what's your typical customer, or is there a typical customer?
There is. Definitely have a lot of addicts, I call them, hoarders, collectors, that go to crazy lengths to be able to grow these. People that dedicate whole bedrooms of their house with the grow tents that you unzip, which has really changed the game for a lot of people getting into this. In a grow tent, you could control the humidity and have grow lights in there, and you could grow these so amazing, as to where before people seem to have struggled a little more. But my customers they're definitely crazy. I definitely get a lot of people into my favorite Veitchii. They need to have every Grex that I breed, or pairing of parents. Mm-hmm. There's definitely some really crazy Nepenthes people.
So a lot of repeat customers.
Oh, yeah. Now I've been in business almost 10 years, and I have people that are ordering almost every week that ordered the day I open. They're so addicted. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Dominic, we're going to need to take another commercial break. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We'll be back.
See you soon.
Good evening. Welcome back. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're here with Dominic Gravine at Red Leaf Exotics, and just gobsmacked by all the beautiful plants that you have here.
Thank you.
So how expensive are these? What's the most expensive pitcher plant Nepenthes that you've ever sold?
Okay, so basic market values that I offer they can be $20 to hundreds to thousands of dollars, especially when you get into big, rare plants. Right now with my business, where I'm at is because I breed everything and make it myself, and I want people to grow them. I'll sell seedlings a lot for $16, $80 just to have, open to a bigger market. My best stuff starts to get into the hundreds of dollars. And then the cuttings can be over the $1,000 mark depending on the plant. But in 2019, I was offered a lot of money for this plant right here. My nursery is actually really well known for this. It's called Veitchii Candy Dreams. I named it back in 2013. I've had it for a very long time. And I was one of the first people to grow a red striped variety of this in the United States. They were so highly desirable back then. They still are. 2019, I had a little cutting of it, and I was just going to have another stock plant. I just wanted a whole table of it. And I told myself, I've sold so many beautiful plants and things I maybe thought I wasn't going to let go of. I'm like, that is a staple in my breeding. I make a lot of our hybrids that we're known for with that plant. And I'm like, I'll never sell a cutting of that. I'm just going to keep it for myself and keep my, edge in the market. And someone messaged me and they were like, hey, I'll give you $1,000 for that. I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, do you have a cutting? I'm like, I do, but I'm not selling it. I probably won't sell that one. I'm more than generous with my other stuff. And they're like, okay, I'll do $5,000. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not for sale. And I was like, oh God. And then he's like, 10,000. And I'm like, oh my God.
10,000. He's offered 10,000 for a cutting.
Yeah.
A cutting, okay.
And then, I pondered that and I'm like, no. And then they just ended up getting to like, I'll give you 20,000. And at that point, I'm like, Dom, fix your greenhouse. Let's go. Come on. You could use that.
There's a lot you can do with $20,000.
I'm like, just whatever. Ended up selling it. And then on top of that, Guinness Book of World Records just reached out not long ago. I had to give them the receipt and everything. We'll go in there for 2027 for the most expensive tropical pitcher plant ever sold.
Wow.
It's kind of an interesting thing to be known for. Okay, I'll take it, And then on top of that, which just this plant, Candy Dreams, what was really special, it was around 2019 when I made the seeds. I bred that one with another Veitchii. And the progeny came out, all the siblings and seedlings came out looking identical almost to the father. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if I sell a cutting of that now, which I don't really cut it up as much anymore, it might be like a cutting or two a year, easy breezy $2,500 now. And more collectors have it, so... Yeah. And the market has changed, and then there was COVID, and things are different now. Yeah. But the seedlings I made ended up looking identical to that, or even better. I mean, here's one here, which I love, the tall lip. I almost like this one better, but it's still maturing, and this is its baby, one of its little children. But what was I going to say? A lot of people wanted that, and because I wasn't able to offer it, I ended up breeding seedlings that look just like it, and for a fraction of the price. I think I started them off at like $150 to $200 per seedling, which was great for that. And it was awesome because, competitors were kind of bragging about and trying to say like, oh, we're going to tissue culture that and everyone will get one. And Nepenthes don't, to my understanding, you don't get the meristem. Like, you can't cut that, put it in a lab and replicate it. It has to be done by seed. Or at least if it's from stem tissue, it's very difficult. Right. So they're trying so hard to breed that. Meanwhile, I've already made seeds that look identical, and they're genetically unique, and they could be male or female. They're not a clone. They weren't tampered with chemicals. So that plant has just been a beautiful journey together. It's my favorite species in the collection.
So if you've got, let's just say 1,000 seeds from this, you're going to have to keep those, plant those, and keep those for a year, year and a half, 2-3 years before you say, okay, this is good enough to sell.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I try not to sell them when they're a little too tiny, but I could actually show you like the seeds in a pot, what they start from, and then like how they grow up in the back. Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
Okay. Well, can we go back to that right now?
Sure can. So here are seeds like I just planted.
Okay.
And you could see they're so little, and I could show you. You could just see them on the top of the pot. It's a golden amber color. So I just planted these, and in 4 to 6 weeks or more, you'll start to get all the little sprouts.
Okay.
If you want to see there, they're super tiny. They look like microgreens. So this is after 4 to 6 plus weeks. And then after this stage, these are probably closer to a year old. Maybe a little less, a little more. It's hard to say. Each one grows so differently.
Right.
And then when we start getting into this stuff, these are 3 years old. And these can be bigger. These are in a cell tray, and I purposely try to keep them smaller. But if these were potted up, they could be already almost a mature plant at this point.
Really? Now, at what point do you transplant these that are in the bigger pots where you got like probably 100 or 200 seeds there? At what point do you transplant that into a cell tray or something bigger?
So the one I showed you here, this is probably around the size.
Okay.
You don't want them too big, but not too small either. That's what happens when I don't do it.
Okay.
They overgrow the pot.
Oh, yeah.
Those are long overdue to be divided.
Yeah.
But we just work through what we can. But that's what will happen if you don't divide them. I love to get them at that stage. You could see here, these are fresher.
Yes.
And then probably in a few months, these will be that size.
Okay.
Once they get around like 2 inches, an inch to 2, they grow much quicker. Mm-hmm. But it's the initial getting them to that size that can be a little tricky.
Right.
But these are all hybrids I make, all individuals.
And each one has the
tag,
the parents with the cross.
That'd be fun, the names. I wonder if we could see the difference between the base pitchers, I call them, and then as they vine up into the air. Here's a really good example, just like genetic diversity. These plants are both the same hybrid from the same seed batch, but here's one, and I'll show you a couple of traps on it. This one, this is all the same plant. This is the newest one, I love it. Here's its brother or sister right here.
Oh, wow.
I call this a light form. It's light and green, and that's more of like a dark form. But both from the same seed batch, both so different. You could see the similarity, but I like the difference in coloration. Let's see, upper and lower pitchers. So this one isn't...
Who would have known that this is in Warren County, Tennessee?
Nursery capital of the world. We ended up here for a reason. So this is... I don't think it's too extreme, but to show you how much they change on a plant, this one here, it's called undulatifolia. I believe this one's from Sulawesi. So this is a lower pitcher, which is produced on the low growth. Once they start from a seed and they start getting bigger, you get a lower pitcher. And then as they vine up, the aerial pitchers start to change because they want to attract things that are up in the trees and the canopy and not on the ground, so they change their morphology. This is an upper pitcher.
Okay.
I mean,
also the same plant.
Different. These are all green, but just the difference is amazing. One of the most extreme changes is the lowii we saw. So it goes from this. Okay. So here's a lower pitcher to this.
Wow.
Okay. Then to this. It does not look like the same plant.
No.
And that's another thing I just love about them, how much change is on one plant. Here's another. This one you could see it's the same plant but different. So here are all the lowers, really dark and toothy. And then as it vines up, these are the uppers.
Oh, gee.
You could see that toothy mouth, but way different.
Right.
Same plant, looks like two different plants. It's one thing I've always loved about them. That air feels so good.
Okay, well, we're going to have to take another commercial break. We'll be back for our last segment in a few minutes. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock. We'll be back. Welcome back. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We're starting our final segment here with Dominic Gravine from Red Leaf Exotics. Now I know that the Nepenthes are your passion. Do you grow any other carnivorous plants?
I sure do. We grow a lot of different kind, and another one I love to grow are Sarsinia, the North American native one.
Okay.
Which they're all outside, so we can look at them.
Okay, let's go take a look at those. So these being grown outside here in Tennessee, they're fine through the winter.
They love it. You know, one species I'll show you, Purpurea, grows from Canada all the way down to maybe northern Florida. And a lot of the other species are Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida Panhandle. There's a ton in Florida Panhandle. So they are more southern, and Tennessee is a perfect climate for growing them. I've grown them my whole life, and after I made beds here, I was like, oh my God, my friends up north, theirs come up so late. Mine already have pitchers and are flowered,
right.
And they really like a long, hot season.
Now, I was out here with you last fall, and a lot of these were full of wasps.
Yeah.
It was just, they were so attracted to them, and they would get in there, and I hate wasps, so I was
scary.
enjoying watching them struggle to get out, and they couldn't. And I had no pity on them whatsoever.
No, me either. The wasps are funny though. Sometimes they'll fall in there and they know how to chew a hole out the side. No other insect really does that to them, but the wasp they definitely give them a little bit of a run for it.
Now, if we can walk over here just a minute, we were looking at some when we first got here. These are huge. How tall will these red ones over here, how tall will they get?
So I would say that's probably about maximum height for that one. Mm-hmm. And these bogs are newer. They're only, what is this going to be? They're almost their third season here.
There's a wasp right there. Yeah. I wish you'd go in there.
And just like the Nepenthes, let me see if I could, we're probably not going to see it as good, but they do make sugar. Oh, you could see just a little sugar right there. It's glistening around the edge. And the same idea, there's hairs up here, everything leads down inside, and again, very slippery, so once they fall in there, they're not getting out unless they chew their way out. But this plant has only been here, a couple years, and they're very similar to iris. They grow on a rhizome, so these will just keep getting bigger and bigger, the clump, every year. And this one's nice, but this could have way more pictures, and they do get a lot larger than that.
But these are in a bog. I see water.
Yes.
They need a lot of water.
They're definitely, I call them bog or swamp plants. There is a pond liner in here that goes down about 2.5 feet. The other bed over there, some of it's maybe 3 feet. I dug down as far as I could handle. And it's filled with peat moss and sand. They mainly grow in peat in the wild. And I always keep them watered. This size bed holds a lot of moisture, so even in the dead of summer, maybe once a week, I'll just try to top them off and fill it up with water.
Well, let's go back in and sit down and talk about how customers, if they're interested in these, can place orders with you and find out more about you business-wise.
Perfect.
So how do people come in contact with you if they want to do business?
So if anyone wants to purchase plants or has any questions, they can reach me at redleafexotics.com is my website. And on there, you could find the email info@redleafexotics.com or redleafexotics@gmail.com. But redleafexotics.com is the place. I list all my seedlings there. I'll do usually updates every 1 to 2 weeks. And then on top of that, there's a platform called district.net/redleaf that I auction my plants off live. I'll do a live video. You could tune in from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, but to bid, you have to be signed up to that link. And I'll do live plant auctions for fun and just hang out with people.
What's the most you've ever sold one for on a live auction?
Not that crazy. I would say $800-ish. But when I do my live auctions, I don't pick my best stuff. For me, the live auctions are more like a chance for them to get a really good plant for a cheaper price.
A starter plant.
Yeah, anything that I'm like, like my nice one, I'm not auctioning that. I'm putting it for the price I want.
Yep. And so, how long have you been doing the auction?
So I've only been doing the auction the past year. I had that company reach out to me and they're like, hey, we think you'd be good doing auctions on here. And I really like the platform too because, it's better than eBay. eBay's, it's just changed. I feel like Etsy's a little more fun for me to buy stuff than eBay. eBay's a little old school, I guess I'll say. And this new site that I do my auction on that makes it different is that I can do it live and be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all at the same time, and everyone could see me. You can't do that on other applications.
Right.
So that's why I decided to do them with that company. I'm like, this would be really fun that everyone could see me on the platforms, even if they're not bidding. Some people just tune in to ask questions. Yeah, it's fun.
So what's the future? Obviously we're going to finish the house next door and continue to expand. Are there any other plants on the horizon, or are you just going to specialize in the Nepenthes and that's your baby and you're going to...
Nepenthes are my jam. I would love to retire early in life and just have to grow my Nepenthes and not sell them. Honestly, no matter what plant I ship out, it makes me like I'm happy for them, but I'm sad because I'm like, I want to keep it.
Yeah.
True plant lover. But my plan really is to move next door into this greenhouse, and as we saw the seedlings and stuff, That'll be a propagation tunnel. You know, cuttings, it's not going to be all, well, probably will be, but all fancy like this greenhouse. I know myself, but I really wanted to make it a little more clean, organized for just seedlings. And when people come, I could say, hey, you go in that greenhouse and whatever you want to buy, you can buy it.
Oh, yeah.
People will come in here, hey, could I buy that? I'm like, well,
no.
We won't even have that conversation, but it's not for sale. You know, it's just so they know that, you know, I'm not like, that's not for sale, that's not for sale.
Right.
So grow that, keep doing what I do, and I love my Nepenthes. And outside of this, you've seen how much I love to garden outside.
Yes.
I love all plants. I would like to turn it into, it doesn't have to be, you know, a certified botanical garden, but someplace, maybe even charge an admission, have an open day where people can come and tour it. Because, you know, just doing this my whole life and seeing my friends in Australia, you would have a really hard time, maybe impossible, to go anywhere in the world and see something like this. It's just such a niche market and hobby and area in the plant world. And even my friends, their greenhouse is insane. And when people come in here, I'm like, wow, that person might never even have see this again in their life. Like these kind of plants, they're just so rare and unusual.
Now, a year or two ago, my wife's garden club came out and did a tour. Are you still open to that kind of thing?
Yeah. We do get a lot of people reaching out, maybe to host their own little garden club here or an event or just to come see it. I get a lot of people that will book appointments, because we are by appointment only, just to reach out, come see it. But this year I more have requests to leave the greenhouse and go teach. I'm going to teach at Longwood Gardens. Oh my God. Longwood Gardens wants me to teach. Oh my God, I love them. And the Missouri Botanical Garden. I've never spoke at Botanical Gardens, but the request is there, so here I come. So I would like to even grow into teaching a little more too. A lot of people have a lot of, you know, curiosity and questions about these plants, but they just are kind of afraid of where to start with them. They're intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. You have the knowledge and the skill and the experience that...
I just taught my friend how to grow one on our windowsill. I'm like, here, you're gonna grow it. And she was so nervous. And again, you would look at the conditions like, that's not gonna grow. And she's thriving with it. Like, it's super healthy. And she now has confidence, I can grow pitcher plants.
So now she'll be back for more.
I told her, I'm like, you got that one, I'm gonna send you more now. Gonna turn her into a collector.
Well, thank you so much, Dominic. It has been such a pleasure, and every time I come out here, I'm just totally amazed. But it was so nice of you to share your knowledge with us.
You're welcome, and I honestly feel the same way coming out to get grasses and stuff from your nursery. I'm like, oh my God, look at all the stuff they're growing. So likewise, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Tim Hitchcock with Hey Hitchcock, sponsored by Farm Credit Mid-America, Morton's Horticultural Products, Barton Creek Farm, and Daylily Nursery. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.